Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Kenna, and today I wanted to show you guys how I collect anthurium pollen. I'm going to be collecting from this Clarinervium. I'm also going to show you guys my anthurium collection. I want to start off by saying that there are so many ways to collect anthurium pollen, and I am not at all trying to say this is the only way or the way to do it, but this is just how I've done it and how it's worked for me. Okay, so first I just want to start off by talking about what you're going to need to do this. It's pretty simple. I use a Ziploc bag and I'm just going to label it what the name of this plant is so I don't forget. Okay, and then you also need a paintbrush. I like to use one that's like a little bit more stiff, and then just a little piece of tin foil. Okay, so I brought you guys a little bit closer so you can see this inflorescent a little bit better. So you're just gonna take your piece of tin foil and you're gonna hold it like this onto the piece of tin foil. And then you're just gonna scrape off the pollen as gently as you can. And you might have to turn it a little bit and scrape some more. And this one isn't a very good example because this time it didn't put out very much pollen. Usually this whole inflorescent is filled, but I'll take what I can get. Okay, so after you've done that, you're just going to take your paintbrush, leave it in the middle of there, and just fold it up in there. And after you've done that, you're just gonna put it in the baggie, seal it up. Okay, so after you have collected your pollen like this, you're just gonna pop it in the freezer, and then I usually collect every 2-ish days. Once you start seeing like pollen collecting back on the receptors, you can go ahead and collect. And honestly, I think I collected last time for almost 2 weeks. So you can do it every day, but I usually do it every 2 days. And then when you're done, you just keep putting it back in the freezer. And it's supposed to last for 6 months to a year. Hopefully I'll have a video on pollinating anthurium, but in order to do that, I have to have another one receptive or this one receptive again, so. Okay, so now I wanted to show you guys my anthurium collection because I'm slowly getting more and more. I love anthurium. I know a lot of people don't, and a lot of people think they're hard, and honestly, like I haven't had that much trouble with any of my anthurium. I think humidity is really key for them. Keeping them in like a greenhouse environment is the best way to have anthurium. So the first one is my Anthurium Clarinervium, the one I just took pollen from. This thing is huge, and it's probably, well, it is one of my favorite plants for sure. You can see those leaves, they're so perfect. Okay. The next one is my Anthurium crystallinum, which I struggled with a lot in the beginning. This was my first anthurium I ever got, and it did not put a leaf out for me for honestly probably about a year. I had been told a lot to grow anthurium in sphagnum moss, which is okay to some degree, but there comes a point where they need more nutrient, and I've had the best luck potting them up. And as soon as I potted this guy up, it put out these 2 new leaves, and it's getting another one, if you can see it. So this one has been kind of a comeback, but I'm excited I kept it because I almost got rid of it at one point. The next is my Anthurium forgetii, which is the cutest little thing. It's just growing in fluval, and I actually got this one from a really good friend of mine. Her name is Michaela. You should follow her at Queen City Tropicals. I'll put that on the screen for you guys so you can see it. But she gave me this and I love it. It's very dear to my heart. Okay, the next one is this little Anthurium Regal, which doesn't really look like one right now. I think it's because it's so immature. I just got this one recently. It was kind of a rehab, but I got a really good deal on it, so I'm hoping I can grow it to be big. This is my Anthurium Waro, which I know it doesn't look like much right now, but I promise it will come back. And it's actually, I don't know if you guys can see this, but it's got a new growth point coming. And I'm excited. This one has kind of a story to it. I'll just sum it up because I could talk hours on it, but my boyfriend bought this for me for Christmas and he sent it to Michaela's house and it came on a really, really cold day and it just got cold damage and it ended up losing all of its roots and then the leaf started dying off and so I had to cut it off. And now it's just this chunk, but I keep swearing to him that it will come back. So I'm hoping in the spring it will pop out a new leaf, but this one will be really special if it does come back. This one is a little Anthurium magnificum hybrid. I bought it as a little seedling and it's grown a lot. It's taken forever. I think it had 2 leaves when I first got it, one smaller than this big one, and it really hasn't done much. I just moved it to Fluval yesterday, so I'm hoping it will put out a new leaf for me. It has tons of roots. You can see them, but it's just not putting out new leaves. This one is an Anthurium villanarum. And this leaf probably needs to be cut off, but this one is really cool. I wanted one of these for a long time and I finally found one online and I actually ordered this and it didn't ship very well. It was shipped bare root, which I'm not really a fan of, but it kind of lost a lot of roots and it's coming back. It just gave me this new leaf. But this one, if you don't order it, this one is a pretty easy one. Oh, and also I wanted to add, if you're wanting to get into Anthurium, because I have a lot of people ask me, like what Anthurium to get into if you've never had one. And the crystallinum, I know I struggled with it in the beginning, but I think this is one of the easiest ones. They're super easy going once you get them growing. So I definitely buy like an established plant. That was kind of my problem. It was still a baby and I didn't know what I was doing at all with plants. That was like in the very beginning, but that one's an easy one. And also the big Clarinervium is a good option for beginners. And this last one has a long story behind it, but it's an Anthurium radicans. And this one has quickly become one of my favorites because I imported this a couple months ago and it died all the way down to the stump. Well, I guess it had this leaf, but it doesn't look very good. And so I sent it to a friend's house to rehab and she put it in Fluval and it came back and it just gave me this new leaf like probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. And so I'm really excited that this one came back. And this one, I'll insert a photo because I took one right when it came out, but the leaves come in bright orange and it's really, really cool. Okay, so I wanted to update you guys on this Anthurium. In the video, I talked about how it wasn't really getting pollen on the whole thing, but it's starting to develop it further down. Okay, so as I was editing this video, I realized that I contradicted myself a lot with Anthurium. I was like, oh, Anthurium are so easy, I've never had problems. Look at this rehab plant. So I wanted to clear a few things up so that it makes a little bit more sense. So this time I brought a note card so I know what I'm talking about. So I wanted to start off by saying that the reason my Anthurium are either struggling or have struggled is because I either imported them or I bought them as a rehab. So I wanted to make that clear so that it doesn't look like I've
struggle with all these Anthurium, but I'm saying how easy they are. I like to buy rehabs, but I also like to import, and rehabbing is just part of importing. So a couple things that I wanted to go over as far as keeping your Anthurium happy are to, one, buy it healthy. So don't buy a plant that's imported or one that's already a rehab. And then the other point I wanted to make is that I prefer to keep mine in soil. So my first one, the crystallinum, the reason it struggled in the beginning was because I kept it in moss. So buy a healthy Anthurium and transfer it to soil. And that's what my errors are from. So the reason I have Anthurium that struggled was because I grew them in moss in the beginning, and I don't recommend doing that. And also I wanted to say that leaf loss on Anthurium is normal. They're gonna shed old leaves, so that's normal. Expect that to happen. And a couple easy Anthurium for beginners, if you're wanting to get into Anthurium, is the Clarinervium, the big one that I took pollen from, the crystallinum, and the villanarum. So I hope that cleared a few things up. I wanted to make sure that that video wasn't just me rambling. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something about Anthurium and kind of eased your worry about growing Anthurium or adding them to your collection. I hope you enjoyed learning how to collect pollen. It's really, really simple, and there's no reason not to try. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You can always do it again. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow me on Instagram at PLANTY by Kenna, and I will see you guys in the next one.